from the 1 year.
After a sumptuous cross from the right from Anthony Gordon, Declan Rice could well have got a point for Arsenal, though right at the end, steering his header wide of the post at the Gallowgate end after a lovely cross from Bukayo Saka. But it's Newcastle's day, Lucy. It's Eddie Howe's day.
Absolutely. You could talk all day long about how Arsenal weren't at it, but Newcastle set up brilliantly. They did everything to the game plan. They scored a perfect goal and they defended incredibly, so fair play for the win.
The sounds of Hey Jude all around St James's Park. Newcastle 8th in the Premier League. They've beaten Arsenal. Alexander Isak the hero. It's finished. Newcastle United 1, Arsenal 0.
Thank you very much, Darren. And well, Martin, I know we're only 10 games in, but where does this leave Arsenal's chances of winning the Premier League title?
Well, obviously, it's still early in the season, but, you know, it's a long way back now with that lead that Man City had on Liverpool. It's thoroughly disappointing. Arsenal just didn't impose their personality on this game at all. Credit to Newcastle. They sat in with 4 and a 5 and 1 up top. And Arsenal just didn't show enough today. Didn't get going at any point, and they've only really got themselves to blame for that.
It says a lot about Newcastle today, Joe, and it will please Eddie Howe, I'm sure, that you guys were really struggling to pick out who should be the man of the match.
It could have been any of them. Honestly, they were so good to a man. I thought both fullbacks were sensational. Lewis Hall, Livramento, and man in your picture, Andy Gordon was
with the threat of Martinelli, Saka, but it was what the work that did in front of them. Arsenal today could never really isolate their 2 central defenders. That's because the midfield were always in situ in front, and that was a real team performance here. But nonetheless, Arsenal need to create more. It just wasn't dynamic enough, didn't move the ball quick enough. Lots of disappointing performances, and that's going to be a difficult dressing room in there for Arsenal, because they kept pace for the last 2 seasons with City.
And after 5 league games without a victory in the Premier League, how big does that 3 points feel today?
No, that was massive. You know, big game against a big team. I think it means a lot, and it's a bit of a statement for us, for the fans, that we can win this game.
And what a header from you to get that winner. You said to me just a minute ago, you don't score many with your head. Yeah,
it's probably not my strongest quality, so it feels good to score some of them goals as well.
12 Premier.
No, it's special, of course. Our fans are amazing every game, win or lose. So of course it gives you an extra boost. And you know, I've been successful here, and hopefully I can keep going.
You said you don't score many with your head, but when Anthony Gordon puts a ball into the box like that, you couldn't miss, could you?
No, honestly, that cross was amazing. It felt like I just had to jump and put my head on the ball, and the rest would fix itself. So credit to him as well.
You make it sound easy, but up against that centre-back partnership, regarded as the best in the Premier League, how important was it that you were clinical when you got the opportunity today?
No, important. You know, Arsenal have a strong defence, you know, with Gabriel and Saliba, so it's a difficult task.
Confidence that this week can bring as you go into that run of games?
Yeah, for sure. We've had a bad spell, but hopefully this win can be a bit of a icebreaker for us, and you know, 1 game at a time. We just next week.
Well done today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What's your assessment of that performance and how impressive it was?
Yeah, no, it was a really, really good performance from us. I think we know what they can bring. We've seen it all of last season, how competitive they are. And then when we went 1-0 up, it was just there's a lot of players in that team who probably don't want to be doing that sort of jobs, but they've done fantastic today.
How pleased are you with the way you played as well, especially the way you handled Bukayo Saka? We were talking about how tough a job that is before the game.
Yeah, no, Bukayo's an amazing player. So going into the game, I was just thinking if I can keep him as quiet as possible, then I think I've done my job well. So
we saw lots of celebrating as well through every block,
get the crowd going, where at other places it might not mean as much. So it's amazing.
So you've come up here now about a year. You've been up here. How have you found it? First of all, playing for Newcastle, and your next steps with England. You know, you must look at that as a pathway. Like there's not
many left backs for you to get. And if you keep playing like that, mate, you're going to be in the running, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I think for starters, I think I've absolutely loved my time at Newcastle.
Yeah.
I think when I first came, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little bit frustrating, but I think I've improved massively the defensive part of my game. And yeah, no, I'm just proud that I can wear the shirt and provide performances like today. And yeah, like you said, obviously there's not many left backs in the England squad, so yeah, I'd be lying as well if I said I've not sort of noticed that. But I'm just focusing on playing for Newcastle, and if I'm playing well at Newcastle, then that's all I'm cared about at the minute.
Joel's going to take some of the credit, I think.
Listen, I'll take all the credit. Yeah, I'll take
Who's
all
his coach?
Yeah, for a few sessions they counted though.
It's all down to you.
What was he like as a coach?
No,
He was particularly wanting of you today to make sure that you block the outsides.
yeah, definitely. We know the quality that their wingers have got. We know how good their movements are as well. So if we could get as many bodies round their wingers, me, Joel Linton, and even Joe Willock at times, it's just about stopping the balls into the box, stopping little slip passes through, and yeah, I thought we'd done that well.
Yeah. Tell us about your relationship with the manager, because it's almost like son of. I'm listening to you talking calm, intelligently. How is he to play football under?
I think he's the same. He's obviously before I came here, I wasn't sure what he'd be like, because he comes across as a really calm and sort of relaxed personality, which obviously he is. But I think he's got a side in him where if we need a bit more, then he can give it a good manager to work under, and I can't thank him enough for what he's done for me so far.
What have been the biggest improvements in your game, do you think, in the last few games? Because you've been in such good form.
I think it's just the defensive part of my game, really. I've always felt comfortable on the ball and good in possession, but I think the defensive part of my game is something that I've really switched on at, and I've worked a lot on the training pitch, and yeah, I'm glad I can put in performances like that.
And Alexander Isak was saying on the full-time whistle he hopes it can be a big turning point in the season, a result like this. Do you think this whole week can do that for you as a team?
Yeah, definitely. I think we didn't have the greatest start performance-wise, but we were picking up a few results here and there. And then the last couple of weeks especially, when we've not got the results, we've been playing better football. And I think that just sums up how the game is sometimes. But now we're getting the results and playing good football as well. I think it's something that we can build on for sure.
Congratulations. And Chilwell hasn't kept himself as fit as he would like. So that opens up the conversation. But he's such an intelligent and well-mannered in form. And he dealt with him quite comfortably. Saka was not at it today, and Lewis Hall and his teammates around him and the structure that Eddie put him in helped out. But he was brilliant, and I think I can see a very bright future for him.
Because you spoke about that defensive improvement. He's always had good attacking output, but how well did you think that?
Do you know as well, of course, we did exceptionally well. Livramento as well, the other side, just as well. And you look at opportunities for England, and you know, he can play left, he can play right. So they've definitely got some really good young England players here. English players in the group, but it was how they played collectively today. They kind of decided, okay, we're not really going to press. I watched them in midweek. Chelsea passed around them. Okay, they had one success where they scored, but if they made the right call, manager made the right call today tactically, and then they executed that plan perfectly. But Arsenal just didn't turn up today. Didn't play the football we expected. Didn't play like champions. And now they're nursing those wounds with a very big game coming up in the Champions League in midweek.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Chelsea away as well next weekend for Arsenal, so a massive week in their season. We spoke before the match, though, Joe, about how well Newcastle...
Arsenal were limited to two or three half chances. Declan had one at the end, and I think that's all down to this. We wondered whether they would step on to Arsenal. They did at times, but most of the time they were dropped off into this bank of 4 and a 5, and the distances were so well, and they were doubling up, and they was aggressive, and Arsenal were moving it, and they wasn't doing themselves favours. Martin was, they was moving it slow. But yeah, Newcastle were fantastic in this.
They were, and in a way, we've talked about Arsenal like the Thames Barrier. You know, Newcastle did today what Arsenal are offering doing themselves, sitting deep. You know, doubling up here. You see Gordon getting all the way back. I mean, that's really seeing things through, isn't it? Yeah. Almost playing like a doubling up fullback situation on that right side. Same thing was happening on the left. It was a workmanlike display, and everybody played their part. Joe Linton does an amazing job, doesn't he, on that other side as well. So both fullbacks, wingers getting back in. But the difference is the detail today. One ball in the box, and Isak gets on the end of it. And Arsenal needed to defend way better than they did, and that really has cost them the game today.
Yeah, talking about Arsenal defending. 10 goals in 6 games now they've conceded, Martin. 6 games without a clean sheet. Why do you think they're losing some of that defensive steel?
Arsenal, the two centre-halves have been consistently fit. Ben White's not been fit, and they've had to move it around. Mikel's had to move it around, and that does disrupt you. It does. So I think once listen, they will get clean sheets, Mark, won't they? There's no doubt about that. And this is a rough ride, but the big test for them is their mentality and their personality, because they'll walk back. There's a lot of people tip them for the league, me included. And I'm second guessing that now after what I saw today. But when they got to go back into that dressing room now, and the manager's got to lift them, the players have got to take ownership of it as well, because they got a hell of a week, because they going to Milan in the Champions League, difficult game. Chelsea are on form, and the London derby, and I think they could find themselves 10 points adrift.
I wonder whether there'll be, does Ben White now move back to right back? So there's things that the manager can do, but it needs to find a better balance. And they just didn't. You didn't see any of their personality today in the way that they create. And Ødegaard today was missed probably more than I've seen at any point this season. Not enough creativity. Arsenal not being able to find all credit to Newcastle, but they didn't find solutions today to try and break that down.
Yeah, they can't get Ødegaard back quick enough, can they?
Yeah, do you know what's interesting? The subs have just gone out and done a little running session, and all 3 or 4 of the backroom staff are out with them. That's smart as well, because you're dealing with the lads in the dressing room who are going to be on the floor, but these lads are coming in. Some of these boys who just walk past us, they might be called upon in the Champions League and at Chelsea, because I'm sure Mikel will make changes, because Martin's right. Trossard was off it today. He's a fantastic player, but
the box, does that just underline how much they're missing the creativity of Martin Ødegaard at the moment?
Without doubt. We know what he brings you when you press to win the ball back, when we're in possession, and that right-hand little pocket that he picks up. Arsenal weren't threatening at all. The 2 central defenders, Byrne and Shah, today. It was an easy afternoon for them. Okay, they had their midfield in front. They didn't really move too far. But nonetheless, Arsenal should be affecting that back line far more than they did. And they could have got away with it with Declan at the end there. Really good opportunity. He seems to back away from it. It's unusual. If he comes onto this, I mean, look, again, Saka, lovely teasing ball to that back post, and you thought, do you know what, lovely, that's going to hit the back of the net. And I know you weren't far away from me, Lindsay, and you breathed a huge sigh of relief when that went past the post.
That caused a few nerves.
Forward situation, and I think of the great Real Madrid team, Carlo Ancelotti and Joselu. You play for them, who come in. You need to have an option at times, someone who can come on and just like we were saying, when Arsenal were playing it from side to side to side to side, the wingers were not getting no joy. So then what do? Saka's getting no joy out of Lewis Hall. Trossard's getting nothing out of Livramento on the other side. You're getting into the final third and you need to deliver it. But then you get the ball, you look up, and then you're seeing it's Havertz or it's Jesus or Martinelli in there. You think, I'm just thinking recruitment-wise, if you did bring a centre-forward, it doesn't have to be elite centre-forward who can do everything, but someone who's got great movement, someone who can get across someone who can finish that chance.
Was running away and they just took it off him because Gabriel came back. So gamble a little bit more. They've got the players, they've got the pace to do that. I think back to some of the teams I played in, okay, when you had your likes of Henry and Pires really going for it, just putting bodies forward, and it was just, there's a structure. And it's kind of like, no, let's create something else. Let's put a player more centrally. Wanyeri came on to do that. But I think you could have had 2 10s in there to make it more difficult and try and find a solution to find a way through. But credit Newcastle for that. They were very rigid and structured, and Arsenal couldn't break them down.
But is Joe right? Is it going to be costly, do you think, for Arsenal this season, not signing a goal scorer, a natural goal scorer?
I don't think it was a problem last season. We're here telling me that he'll be back for Wednesday, and that's great news for Arsenal.
Yeah, the squad being tested this season, Joe, because the push to that title push last season was very much revolving around their ability to keep players fit.
Yeah, and this is why we laud Premier League champions and teams that win it multiple times, like the Manchester City team, because it's so difficult to do. You're dealing with it. You will deal with injury crises. You will deal with bad decisions. You'll deal with players having dips in form, tactical problems. So they will. Ødegaard coming back is massive for the club, because that just straight away, without doing anything, Mikel Arteta says nothing to his players from now until he puts Martin Ødegaard's name on the team sheet. That lifts the whole room. Because wise in January, why not go and buy someone who's going to come on. You might buy him 3 or 4 times, 15 minutes to the end of the game when you're throwing bodies into the box, something like that, just to mix it up. If it's good enough for Real Madrid, it's good enough for Arsenal.
You said before the game you still believed Arsenal could win the title. You had a change of heart?
I've had a change of heart, Linz. I've had a change of heart. I'm not quite doing the old Homer Simpson reversal yet, but I'm having a change of heart.
Okay.